The moon is probably the astronomical object that's most frequently used in the arts. In movies, paintings, and songs, whatever genre it is, there's sure to be a literal reference to the moon or moonlight. Its beauty is now legendary, and as it's noticeably easy to study even with the naked eye, the moon makes a good beginner home astronomy lesson for your kids. How to teach your kids about the moon. Although teaching your kids about the moon can be accomplished in one sitting, they wouldn't be able to see all its phases in one night. As such, you need to prepare the necessary photos and materials as well that will give them visual aids for what the sky may temporarily be unable to provide. Start the lesson by citing stories that tackle the origins of the moon or other stories where the moon plays an integral role. Your kids have probably heard or continue to believe that the moon is made of cheese. Encourage them to discuss with you about their theories of what the moon is, how it came to be, and its importance to life on Earth. Proceed then with a simple but factual explanation as to the real origins of the moon. And from there, you can then provide step-by-step details about the moon. Moon landings? Provide dates, names, and brief descriptions about the various space missions that had been sent to the moon. Emphasize the importance behind the famous statement that astronaut Neil Armstrong made when he landed on the moon. How could landing on the moon be one step for man and one big leap for mankind? Most of the knowledge that people have now about the moon is based on the rock samples that space missions have brought home. Show photos if possible, then explain the process of which scientists are able to derive data from them. Moon and the Earth? There is a very significant relationship between the moon and the Earth. If the moon disappears for some reason, explain how drastically this would affect life on Earth. You can also explain about the psychological effects of the moon on people's moods and temperament. The two sides of a coin? The moon, just like a coin, has two sides, but instead of thinking of it as the light and dark side, teach your kids to simply and more accurately think of it as the far and near side. Point out what side of the moon is visible in the sky, then provide photos for the other side of the moon. Explain the difference between the two. Young and old? The moon also has two land types. One is filled with craters or holes and called highlands, while the other is comparatively smoother and with lesser holes. The second type of landscape is called Maria. Craters? The moon is famously known for its craters, and this is why the moon also likened to a block of cheese. Craters of the moon are named after people who have gained fame in the world of science, and if you can dig out interesting facts, you can give a little background on some of these people. Provide photos as well. Gravitational and magnetic field? It's impossible to say that you've made a complete study of the moon without mentioning about its gravitational and magnetic fields. Explain to your kids the importance of gravity and magnetic fields, then cite the differences between those of the moon and Earth. Atmosphere. Although the moon's atmosphere is different from that of the Earth, many people believe that it's still technically possible in the far future for men to inhabit the moon. Explain the differences between both atmospheres and why people strongly believe in this possibility. Phases of the moon? The moon is also known for having different phases. Although people yearn mostly to see the moon in its oldest or youngest phase, its other phases are equally beautiful as well. Naturally, the sky can only afford you a glimpse of one of its phases, so prepare photos for the rest. Make sure that you explain why the moon has different phases. Majority of your astronomy lesson for your kids can be accomplished without use of binoculars or a telescope, but of course having either will make the session more enjoyable for your kids.